Morning, everybody. Andy here again. Saturday morning, and I don't think I've ever seen a Saturday morning quite as quiet. As I said yesterday, we are just sort of entering another period of 3 weeks of lockdown, and who knows where that ends. Anyway, the daily deaths, I put them to keep the figures going. This is partly for my own benefit, so that when I do look back, or anyone else can look back, they can sort of trace the track of what was happening in the UK. Maybe you've got similar sort of figures that you can use in your own countries as well. Right, the daily deaths yesterday were 847, keeping that sort of level. The total now is 14,576. Well, one of the things that's happening here at the moment, there's still a bit of controversy about the actual death figures and how sort of real they are. And then there was that thing yesterday from Wuhan in China where they've upped their sort of death rate, or the figures that they published before, by up to 50%, because that makes you wonder what's been going on there, and how was it a lot worse there than what they actually made out. You can never quite trust the Chinese in that respect, can you? But can you trust our figures? I mean, that's a problem here, because as I said, they only include the figures in hospitals, and there's a lot of controversy, as I said, about care homes and the amount of people dying in the community generally who aren't even being tested, because if you're not tested, they can't say that you died of coronavirus, if that makes any sense. Also, there's a big problem here at the moment with personal protective equipment, PPE, which obviously all care workers, NHS workers, all sort of frontline staff, if you want to put it that way, in the health industry, need, and they're having a severe lack of it. I understand to an extent, because obviously this is an unprecedented crisis. But as I said before, with testing, we knew this was coming. So why didn't we sort it all out back in the day? As I said, history will certainly judge some of these people and some of their decisions. As I've mentioned, also some of the decisions, it's very hard, but some are pretty easy, I reckon. But what I want to talk about today, actually, something I mentioned the other day. I was talking about puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, and it's sort of, so many people have mentioned it about, oh yeah, jigsaw, I remember them. Oh, I think they're works of art as well, and we've dug ours out and that. But actually, yesterday, because I showed you the one of that I had of Venice, which we'd done. We'd done most of it. We didn't do some of the sky. And yesterday morning, somebody locally put up about a jigsaw puzzle that they wanted to swap, and I thought, wow, this is such a coincidence. As far as I'm aware, Kate hadn't seen my videos, but I ended up with this. Look, this is, for those who aren't aware, that's Santorini in Greece, a place I've always wanted to go to. I know my daughter's been there, and it's spectacular, isn't it? I mean, what a view. Hopefully, when this is all over, one day I shall get there. But long story short, there's a group of us ended up talking about swapping jigsaw puzzles or board games, and Ken, a friend, a musician friend, he's also an author as well, ended up bringing that round to my place yesterday, and I gave him the Venice one, and we're talking about other people swapping things like this, and I think it's just brilliant. It does bring out some of this, has brought out that local element. We're all stranded, if you want to put it that way, confined to barracks into our own homes, but we can still meet up, at a socially safe distance, which is what we did yesterday. And it's good to meet up with people. It's good to have some sort of human contact. It was good for me. I'm sure it's good for Ken and any other people that he may have been, sort of dropped puzzles off, because he was dropping them off to other people. And so, but it does connect you. And we've said, we swap puzzles, maybe we could swap them with someone else, start a little network, if you want, of local people just walking, not driving, because you don't want to start doing all that sort of stuff. I even thought about setting up a little local Facebook group to actually help with that, the analogue entertainment, but you could extend it to DVDs and box sets and things like that, all those things that we're using to get us through. But I said the local angle is a big thing, I think, and I'd like to think that that's happening where you are. Maybe if there are examples of where you're living, whatever it is in the world, you can let me know, let everybody else know what you're doing and how it's impacting on your sort of local society, your local community, and maybe bringing out the best of it. I've mentioned other aspects that have happened here in Hastings, but one other thing that we did last night, we actually went and got fish and chips, and obviously most of the food shops are open, all the takeaways and places like that are open, pubs, clubs, restaurants and all those bars and cafes and that, they're all shut. But some of the more enterprising places and a couple of the fish and chip shops, you can't eat in them obviously, but you can do a takeaway service, which is good. And we went to a place in the old town, which is right, for those who know Hastings and the Motorsin bits, it's right amongst all the old fishing huts, right down in the old town, right by the beach, where the fishermen literally bring their boats right up onto the onto the shore, onto the shingle, onto the pebble beach. I think it's the largest sort of beach launched fishing fleet in the UK, if not in Europe, and possibly even the world. I don't know. And it's still going. It's fascinating to watch them when they come into the harbour because they're not docked. They literally drive up onto the shingle as fast as they can, and then they're dragged up from a safe distance from the incoming tide. So an interesting way of doing it. And we went the other day and bought some fish from the fishermen. And they had their little huts. There's proper shops that sell all this as well, fishmongers, as you could imagine. But they have their own little huts where they sell the fish, which is literally come in that morning or that afternoon, and you're buying it as fresh as you possibly can, and it is beautiful. We bought some skate the other day, and absolutely lovely, and also very cheap. But we got the fish and chips from this place called Maggie's yesterday, and Julie went and got it. No contact. The only thing she touched was her card. You know, you're paying by contactless. As far as I'm aware, they never used to do any sort of takeaway service before. So people are diversifying, something I will talk about another time. But it's good. It was great. I mean, lovely fish and chips. Ironically, it's a place that I've never been to before. I don't know why that is, but I've never eaten there before or bought fish and chips from there before. But I certainly will again. But it's good to see them getting it there, and it's good to actually support these people because they're trying. They're making a little bit of an effort. They're going the extra mile, if you want to put it that way, trying to keep themselves in business. And I know Bob, my friend, who was delivering beer last week that I talked about, did another beer drop yesterday. I didn't partake because it wasn't my favourite, but I know other people did, and he was delivering cider and things like that. It's great to see people doing that. And once again, as I said, you're meeting up with other people, connecting with people, sometimes people you haven't spoken to for a long time, and maybe you don't even know, but via the little Facebook groups that you're talking about, the beer drops and the puzzles and the board games and all that type of thing, it is bringing you together. It gives you a little bit of solace in these sort of strange times, especially if you're on your own. But even if you are in a household, it is good to have that contact with other people at other times. So I'm sure you're going to have an exciting weekend like us. Funny enough, I've just been making some bread. I'll let you know how that turns out. So that's another thing that we're doing things like that. But that's another story for another day. So enjoy your weekend. Stay at home, stay strong, stay safe, and hopefully I shall speak to you again tomorrow. Goodbye.